And good afternoon, everybody. Hi, I'm Walter, and I'm the Dutch mentor, and I have the great joy today to introduce to all of you Jill Huck, not only a friend and colleague, but somebody who I've admired from afar. She has certainly done her very best to climb her career ladder over the last 10 to 15 years, and is heavily engaged in HLNY and ACHE New Jersey chapter in helping to further the career of other middle careerists. So, as all of you know, I've been hosting, chats about leadership. Today, we want to both talk a little bit about leadership and leadership philosophy, which will be the second question we address. But first, I would love to give Jill the opportunity to introduce herself and talk a little bit about your career journey, and take it away. Thank you for joining me today.
Sure. Thanks so much, Walter. Thanks for having me as a part of your team and for engaging me in this. I'm definitely excited to have this conversation. So I'm Jill Huck. I have worked for the Mount Sinai Health System for nearly 20 years, and it's been really such an incredible journey for me. I started in a clinical capacity many years ago as an occupational therapist, and that was my first foray into healthcare, where I learned, what it was like to deliver care in some capacity to a patient, and what it was like to be part of a hospital and part of a unit, work with nurses, work with physicians and other healthcare professionals. And so that was where my journey began all those years back. And what that really did was just pique my interest, I think, in how hospitals in particular work and how decisions are made. Why are certain decisions made? What are the emphases that administrators are seeking? What is the strategy? What are the goals? And I was just a really curious individual. So after going back to school for my master's degree, then I progressed to other roles around the institution. I followed a project management track, and that sort of led me into project and programmatic development. And I was really lucky to move all around this institution into a number of different roles. And today, I'm the vice president of business and strategy for the system, and it's been quite a journey. So
that sounds very exciting. Yeah, that's great. So I know that most leaders, especially going from technical role like an occupational therapist into leadership, we know that there's a gap, and that's really what we're trying to fill the gap in with our coaching and mentoring sessions. But one of the things that we always talk about, having a good mentor along the way really helps you grow and develop as a leader. I know that you had the opportunity to work with Art Gianelli over at Mount Sinai, and tell a little bit about what the value of having mentorship or somebody to look at or look to for mentorship in your professional development as you went from leading, doing to leading.
Yeah, it's critical, as I know that well, and we both embrace. When you're a young professional, you really need that guidance, and you really need role models. I think you need to learn what to do and also what not to do, or what you're deciding is your style, what you want to do and what not to do. So I spent a lot of time observing the individuals that I admired. And luckily here at Mount Sinai, there was a plethora of individuals who I respected and admired, and whose styles I could ultimately not necessarily emulate, but sort of model myself after, aspire to be. So I was very grateful to have role models who, taught me not only the tactical aspects of the job, but how to be a humble leader, how to be an inquisitive leader, how to care for your staff, respect the people that you work for. And, parts of our institution in particular have embraced the lean philosophy and really embraced the aspect of going to the people and understanding what your employees do. And that was something that I valued tremendously in some of the leaders that I worked for, that sense of inclusion. So I've been fortunate to have such excellent leaders in my journey.
Great. Yeah, and really is about taking the opportunity and rising to the occasion. So we know that all leaders, there's no straight line to the top, right? We need to have the zigzag and get the experience along the way. Tell me a little bit about any of the pitfalls or successes that you experienced, and how did that help you build confidence over time as a leader?
Yeah, let's see. I think you have to do it and do it over and over again because if you expect to achieve perfection as a leader the first time out of the gate, it's just not going to happen. I think just like as humans, as leaders, we're evolving and we're learning how to listen and we're learning how to lead and we're learning how to lead different individuals and meet them where they're at. So as far as some of the pitfalls, I think one of my first journeys was leading my district team. If you remember, New York State had a very big district waiver, and Mount Sinai was a leader in that, and I had a sizable team, the biggest team that I had led at that time. And so just learning how to manage each individual differently, understanding their needs, listening to them, coaching them up from where they were at, because no two members of your team are the same. So that really took a lot of intention on my part, but it was so rewarding, and it remains one of the most rewarding experiences from a leadership perspective, and one of the best teams that I've had at Mount Sinai.
That's great. Yeah, I certainly remember the disrupt days, and you saw all the money, but now we have to go actually do something and make an improvement. And I think we could have a whole separate session on that to see what the outcomes of
Yes.
that all those investment of human capital and other
Yeah.
expenses in order to be able to improve the deliverance of care,
Mhm.
especially preventative care. So I know you told me a little bit about you worked as a coach or as a mentor in an internal Mount Sinai program.
Mhm.
Share a little bit about how did you get involved in that program and what did you take away from that? And then the next question we'll go into, who are you today as a coach mentor and what it is that you would like to bring to the table for our students.
Sure, sure. So for the past 5 years during my tenure at Mount Sinai Morningside, I had the pleasure of serving as the site preceptor for the NCAF Administrative Fellowship Program. And that was, in credit to Art Gianelli, who you mentioned earlier, my last boss. So this program was put under my purview, and I had the opportunity to really build it out in the way that I saw advantageous and fit for the young professionals at Morningside. We took 2 students every 2 years, and they would come under my office, where I had designed a training approach or learning approach that, of course, was in conjunction with the rest of our system. We have various sites around the system, and I had the opportunity to not only let them explore our institution and go through various rotations with key leaders, but to meet with them every week. And I always met with the fellows every week for an hour to coach them, to provide them with any guidance that I could, to help them make connections around our very large health system. And luckily, due to the years that I'd spent here, I was usually able to help them navigate. And to be a sounding board, right? And to provide some advice if needed, or perspective on their projects, or just on their adaptation to the experience. So that was a really rewarding experience, and I'm so glad that I spent 5 years doing that.
Excellent. Yeah. Listen, there's nothing better than along the way to pick up the experience. And I know people say, why do you teach? I think I've learned so much, by teaching, by mentoring, by coaching, right? And it's often, you look in the mirror, like, I'm talking about spiritual wellness and mental wellness and physical wellness and relationship wellness. Well, I need to remind myself that I need to do that as well. Right. And I think that's by sharing yourself and your experiences in that sense is really, really powerful a way of learning. And then, of course, giving back. So with that said, being a mentor and in our program, and of course, we'll welcome anybody who's interested and really feels a connection to you and your story. They can book a free consultation with you via the website to see if there is a real connection, and then go on a 6-month journey of learning and growing as a person from on a holistic perspective. So what do you do? What is your philosophy, and how would you like to present yourself to prospective students or clients, and what you can bring to the table for them?
Sure. So first and foremost, I like to be really approachable and really transparent. I think just being real and being who you are as a leader takes away some of the mystique, particularly for earlier careerists who are aspiring to grow through this trajectory. We're all just people. We're all just human beings, and we were in that position, however many years ago. So really just being transparent about who I am, and letting them be the same so that they feel comfortable sharing who they want to become as an individual. I think being open-minded, listening, and and really hearing what that individual is looking to do in their path is critical. They may not have the same goals or aspirations that the coach does, and our job is to help them build that journey and give advice based on our experiences. So those are some of the, I think, foundational aspects that I would include. I think just being encouraging and encouraging them to stay at it, right? To be consistent and to be patient, which is tough, particularly for early careerists, but being patient and consistent in your journey, giving yourself time to develop. I often tell young individuals, or rather early careerists, that there's no substitute for time. You just have to work at it.
Yeah, and as eager, alpha-driven personalities will always think that we are ready, way ahead of our times, right? And I've experienced myself many times that I'm ready for this, but then I'm in a position just before this. Like, man, I didn't understand how much I did not know, and doing it 2 or 3 times and getting better at it each time brings so much value. Because again, the more confident you are and the more humble you are, you can then really do a much better job of leading your teams. So I think that the combination of what we call the Pure Leadership Power 1, 2, 3, right? It's about self-awareness and self-development and learning to solve problems at the root cause, and then how to engage your team so not only you get to perform, but really it's the performance of your team that leads to all of the things that the person in early careers and mid careers is desiring to continue to climb the ladder itself. So thank you very much for joining me today. I think that what you outlined is something I can buy into. That's the reason why we have a connection, obviously. I look forward to working with you, and I think that students will be tremendously helped by your insights and your intuition about what it is and what it takes in a situation, and especially in a complex situation, how you can utilize all the skills, your self-awareness and your lean methodology, plus how to function in a team and how to get people to come out on top, gaining the right experiences. Any closing words?
I'm just really grateful to be a part of this. As an early careerist or really anyone, I've mentioned early careers, but at any point in your journey, you may be looking for that next step, and to have someone who believes in you, who's going to provide you with support, and help you get to where you want to be. I mean, I think that's just at the root of something that I love to do. If I can be an asset, I'm happy to do that and pay it forward, as they say. So I'm happy to give back in that capacity.
Excellent. And I always say that, listen, there's no single person goes to the Olympics without a good coach and mentor. And that's really the gap that we're trying to fill, right? It is to be with us for a 6-month period of time at minimum, so we can really, develop these sustainable habits and behaviors, not just fly by, one here, one there, because we all know what happens with those, that they're quickly forgotten and never put into play. We're really looking at helping people, accelerate in that sense. Thank you, Jill. We look forward to hearing more from you in the future, and we'll talk soon again. Thanks,
Walter.